I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton questioned Air Force leaders Tuesday about the threat of Russia and China. During his questioning, he also disagreed with Senator Elizabeth Warren over whose responsibility it is to oversee the government. Let's listen in.
Rosen, Senator Cotton, please.
Secretary Kendall, General Brown, I want to commend you again for your clear-headed and even single-minded focus on regaining our technological edge against China. I've supported those efforts in the past, and I continue to support them now. General Brown, I want to talk to you a little bit about some of those efforts and something of a challenge you face. For a few years now, the Air Force has talked to us about divesting certain assets. Those things are known. They're apparent to the eye. Local communities depend on them, whether it's Little Rock or Seymour Johnson or Nellis. But you're investing in a lot of things that we can't necessarily see. Either they're in development or they're highly classified programs. These are capabilities, though, that we need to continue to outpace and deter China. I know we're going to have a closed setting later where we can touch on some of those as a committee, but can you just confirm you're going to provide in that closed session the classified details that we need on the following programs? The first would be the F-35 along with other future fighter force investments.
Senator, we will. And if I could also add, one of the areas that I focus on with my staff is to get as many of the, we'll have a closed session today, but as many briefings as possible. At the same time, providing some unclassified talking points, like we did for Grand Forks on ISR being consistent, persistent, and survival. So they have an idea that things they can talk about with their constituents as well as the other members of the Congress.
Okay. A second one is the future of air-to-ground weapons and air-to-air weapons, and that especially includes hypersonics.
We'll be prepared to talk about that in closed session.
The future of ISR, you've already touched on. Some key space capabilities I can't even name here. I'll ask you first, and then turn to General Raymond.
I really depend on General Raymond. I'm a beneficiary of his capabilities.
Sure, I look forward to talking to you in the closed hearing about that.
Okay, and General Brown, we've touched on this with a few other senators, the B-21. We'll get a classified update on that as well.
Yeah, you will.
Okay. I just want to say that I understand some senators' desire to have some of these programs at a lower classification level, and I do believe there are certain cases where the government overclassifies matters. But some of these are extremely sensitive programs, and if the Chinese or the Russians were to understand these capabilities, it would put all of our troops in our nation at graver risk in the future. Senator Warren said that we need to have more ability for oversight and transparency, and she cited inspector generals and NGOs and the press. That's what we're here for, though. Like, NGO's job is not to oversee the government. The press's job is not to oversee the government. They are not elected by the people, and they are not vested with that authority under our Constitution. It is this institution, and in particular this committee, to oversee these programs. That's exactly what we do, even if they are highly classified. General Brown, I want to touch on another issue with you. I am concerned about the threat of China acquiring land and property in the vicinity of some sensitive bases. It's not just an Air Force problem. It happens across our military and our intelligence community as well. I just want to bring to your attention one specific project. This is at the Grand Forks Air Force Base in North Dakota. Fufeng, a Chinese company, is investing millions in a local corn mill there. Maybe it's just a corn mill, but it would also provide the potential, at least, for Chinese intelligence to engage in intelligence collection of various kinds, both signals collection or human collection. What's the Air Force plans to be sure that that is not happening, not just at this one site in Grand Forks, but at any of its bases around the country, if you can discuss that in an open setting?
I really can't discuss that to do details in a open session like this. I recently just became aware of this one in particular, but it's something we do pay attention to across the board.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Again, it's a concern about all our military and intelligence installations around the country. It's not just Grand Forks, but Senator Kramer and I have discussed this at length. I would feel exactly the same if some giant Chinese conglomerate started building a facility outside Little Rock Air Force Base as well. But I'll look forward to exploring that with you in a closed setting. Thank you, gentlemen.